of Ghana, city of Accra in West Africa. God willing, on October the 6th through the 9th, we plan to hold our first international convention, an International Savior's Day. As you know, in October we honor the birthday of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, October the 7th. In 1994, it falls on a Friday, for the Muslims Juma Day. And we hope, God willing, to be in the city of Accra and the country of Ghana in West Africa. And what does this convention mean to us? I was reciting to Minister Farrakhan. I was in a hospital recently in Accra, Kalabu Hospital for our brothers and sisters in Ghana. And I read a book while I was there for those 7 days. And in the book I read the history of Mansa Musa, who all Muslims know. Mansa Musa came to power after a great leader had fallen from grace, and a few people tried to pick up the pieces but couldn't. Mansa Musa came in, and he was able to bring the Mali Empire to a peak. And it seemed that God was with him on every move. And then in the 17th year of his being in the position of leader, or his reign, his leadership, he made a hajj to the city of Mecca. He took over 10,000 people with him. He inflated the gold market of Cairo. And the interaction between the Arab world and West Africa took a change, not for the worse, as Chancellor Williams may say, in the destruction of black civilization, but it took a change for the better. 1994 will be 17 years that Minister Farrakhan has been at the helm of the Nation of Islam. And I feel that today, more so than ever in the history of the movement of black people in America, that Africa is going to play a major role. There is a connection that will take place. It's unavoidable. You cannot stop this movement. It will be not only on the business level, the spiritual level, medical level, but it will be the social interaction. And there's a story in the Bible that is clearly pointing out to what's happening today. Africa is in trouble. When you look at Zaire and you look at Mobutu, or America paid and backed for all of these years. Now that America's finished with him, she's feeding Mobutu to the people as they do with all of their imps and their leaders. Now you see the trouble in Somalia, and America finally had to send troops in there. You look at the chaos in the Sudan, and you look at the starvation and the chaos even in South Africa with its tremendous infrastructure built by white folks, for white folks, at the mercy of black people who suffer in South Africa. But the problems all across the African continent need to be solved. So in the Bible there's a very beautiful story about Joseph and his brothers, and how his brothers wanted to kill him, but they put him in a pit, and he was picked up and sold into slavery. Joseph was taken into a foreign land, and in that foreign land Joseph got the learning of the Egyptians. Then there was trouble in the land, and Pharaoh had to call Joseph in to help him solve the problem, as America needs to call in Louis Farrakhan to solve the problems of the inner cities with the young people across this country. Joseph had the learning, and when Joseph helped Pharaoh out, he ended up with the key to the granary. And then Joseph came to himself, and there was famine in his home. His fathers and his brothers were suffering. And Joseph ended up with the key to the granary, meaning that Joseph could now help his brothers who were in the land that he came from. So it is with the African continent today. Brother Leonard Farrakhan Muhammad, the Chief of Staff, was sitting in a meeting in his recent trip to Ghana for the inauguration of the President Jerry Rawlings. And in the meeting, Jerry Rawlings said to us, he said, I don't want to see all of you move to Africa, but I want to see this interaction back and forth as the Jews do with Israel. As they go back and forth, and some live and some stay here, but they aid the country that they feel is the country of their people and the country of their heritage. So it is with Africa today. There are millions of black people who have been trained, well trained in America in every field of endeavor. There is nothing that the black man and the black woman of America cannot do. There is nothing that you don't know about. You know how to run government. You know how to put things together. You know how to do things in the field of medical science. You know how to build buildings and structures. You know the military science. You're the best soldiers that America has. Now with all of this learning, you have the key to help Africa today. If we don't do it, Africa will be recolonized by white folks, and it's our job and our responsibility. So I would pray to Allah that we would look back on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad today and the steps that he first took. One is that a brother from Ghana came to America, heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, went back and built a following in Ghana. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad established 7 mosques outside of America that fed into headquarters. So we're doing the same thing today throughout the world, following the steps of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In 1994, God willing, if we can make this pilgrimage to the country of Ghana, where Kwame Nkrumah first opened the door and said, Africans in the diaspora, come home and help us to build Africa. You don't have to come and live and stay, but let us interact with one another and give us the benefit of the talents that you have learned in the West where you were taken as slaves. It's been a mixed blessing. The knowledge that we have now can help that planet, that continent. I want to say, I got my note and I know the time is up, but on your way out, at the 2 tables set up for the Ghana mission, there is a form. And Minister Farrakhan said to me this morning, tell the brothers and sisters across the country to get ready. I want you to pick up the form. It's information on your trip to Ghana in October of 1994. In order to plan it, we can't, Minister Farrakhan said 3,000 people. That's what he wants. I said maybe 1,500. He said no, 3,000. We may not be able to host more than 3,000, so we want you to be on the ground floor and let us take you to Ghana with Minister Farrakhan leading this delegation in October of 1994. It will be the trip of your lifetime. And I just want to say this in closing. When Dionne Warwick emerged from the slave dungeons, we took her to Ghana with Isaac Hayes. Dionne Warwick cried. And she said, the young brothers and sisters of America must see this. And just as the Jews take their children to Europe to see the death camps of Hitler, and they use that as a source of encouragement, when you see the slave dungeons and how we were packed in the west coast of Africa, then you will know that we can inspire our children to achieve and say that this must never happen again, and we must prove ourselves to the entire world. Thank you. May Allah bless you. We're looking forward to a great, great lecture from Minister Farrakhan, and I know it's a timely lecture that everyone wants to hear. I must say this, Brother Minister Ishmael, before I close. Spike Lee did not include Malcolm's trip to Black Africa in that film, which I must ask myself why, because it was a very important step in our relationship with that continent. Thank you. May Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Brothers and sisters, are you ready? Are you ready to hear the truth of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X? Help me to welcome the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. All praises due to Allah. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan.